Hi and welcome back to Learn Python by Doing number 28. So today we're going to talk about a library called Pytest, which is extremely useful for unit testing. So what is testing? So there is this concept called test-driven development, or TDD for short, that is extremely useful nowadays and extremely used also. So there are lots and lots of articles out there that talk about TDD. Maybe some of them are better than this, but I'm going to summarize what TDD is all about. So, before writing a code, before writing any kind of code, you have to first write tests for that code. So, the first step is to write a failing test. Then the second step is write the minimum code in order for this test to pass. Then you can improve your code or refactor it, as people say. But if in this process of refactoring your test fails, then you have to make the test pass again, and this cycle goes on and on. Okay, so for me, teaching TDD is a little bit difficult because the benefits of TDD are not seen in small projects. They are tedious for small projects, but believe me, for huge projects, if you don't have TDD, then that project will fail. Why? Because when you refactor code in a huge project, it's extremely dangerous because you can break other parts of the code. But if you refactor and then a test is saying, hey, something went wrong, then you are guaranteed that you have to do something for making other parts of the code not to break. Okay, so that's why it's difficult, at least for me, to teach TDD, but let's do it. Okay, so remember our project where we had these files. Now in the requirements.txt, we have to include this Pytest, and of course you have to have your virtual environment activated, and you have to run this command having that environment activated. Okay, so I already installed it before, and that's why it says here requirement already satisfied. But in your case, if it's the first time, that it will be installed successfully. Okay, now we can execute this command here, pytest, and it's going to say that there are no tests. Also, this pytest cache got created, and that's one of those things we don't want in our project. So that's why I put that in this git ignore. Also, when we run our first test, this folder is going to be created. So that's why I also put this folder in the git ignore. Okay, so now let's write actually our first test. But before doing that, we have to know a keyword from Python, which is assert. So assert is does nothing if the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. For example, if I say assert false is equal to false, then it's not going to do nothing. If I say assert true is equal to true, then again, it's not going to do nothing. If I say 3 is equal to 1 plus 2, then again, nothing. But if I say that 2 plus 2 is equal to 5, then it's going to throw an assertion error. Okay? So let's first create a file. So all tests need to be, the name needs to start with test. So we're going to say test, underscore capitalized because we're going to write a function that capitalizes strings. Okay, so first we have to import Pytest because we're going to use it. Then we have to create our test, our unit test. So all unit tests begin, are functions that begin with the word test. So it's going to be called test, and I'm going to call this capital case, okay? Now, let's assert the following thing. Let's assert that capital case of David is equal to David. So now let's execute Pytest again. Okay, so our test obviously failed. Notice that this PyCache got created, so that's why I put it in the git ignore. And well, we have this part of TDD. Now we have to make the test pass. We have to write the minimum code in order for this test to pass. So we're going to obviously implement the capital case function, which is going to receive a string, and it's going to capitalize this string. So it's going to return the string, but capitalized. So now let's run Pytest again. And as you can see, one test passed. Okay, so we have done this here. Okay, now let's refactor our code, but first let's make another test here. So this test is going to be, well, it has to start with test, and well, you can put whatever you want. So raises exception if not a string argument. Okay, so now we're going to use the Pytest, sorry. So we're going to say with Pytest dot raises type error, we're going to pass some number here. So for example, 1. Okay, so now let's run Pytest again and see the result. And as you can see, one test failed and one passed. So what is the error here? That we have to check first if what is being passed is a string. So here we can say if not is instance a string of str, then we have to raise this type error saying the argument must be a string. Okay, so now we have refactored our code, and now let's check if Pytest okay, so 2 tests passed. Why? Because here we are expecting a type error if we pass a number. So that's what is happening here. It is checking if this is an instance of a string. If it's not, then this function is going to raise this type error. And this with Pytest.raises type error checks if in fact we are raising that exception. So that's an introduction to TDD. I hope you like this video, and keep in mind that this is very useful once your project starts growing and growing. Okay, see you in the next video.